Hello, everyone. One of the biggest questions in Russia right now, will he or won't he? What are we talking about? The mass mobilization. The last one Putin had announced was back in 2022 when he initially invaded Ukraine and Ukraine did not surrender. So when Ukrainians surprisingly and suddenly started resisting, Putin called a mass mobilization, and that means basically pulling in all men of a certain age group, not just the reservists, not just military, professional military, everybody. So the measure is deeply unpopular in Russia for obvious reasons. And the reason that there's so much speculation about it is that Russia is scrambling to find enough soldiers to replenish the ranks. And I told you before, the math is not mathing, not for them, because they're recruiting them roughly at the same rate as they're losing them. And because most of the recruitment is taking place in the poor regions of Russia, people are induced to sign up because of the huge bonuses, which makes a difference to a lot of people, again, especially if they're living in the poorer regions of Russia. And for you to comprehend what it means to live like on the outskirts, those are the regions where people don't have indoor plumbing. Those are the regions where people don't have running water. Those are the regions where people don't always have electricity. Yes, I am aware this is the 21st century, and yet it is true. There are large areas of Russia that basically live like a third world country. And so, yes, if you show up there with an open-ended contract and a stack of money, yes, people will seriously consider signing up. However, while they're managing to sign up about 1,000 people a day, so that's 30,000 people a month, that equals their losses. That equals their casualties per month. So the problem, like I said, is that with the army rotation, with so many being lost, and that includes dead and wounded, 30,000 a month, people are not too eager to jump into the MiG rider. Surprise, surprise. And so at this point, it is a matter of speculation. But, they do have the election coming up. I don't know if it's going to change anything, because Russian elections haven't been open and honest or transparent in decades, ever since Putin came to power. So I'm not sure what is going to happen. And people agree, political analysts, historians are agreeing, saying this is a matter of speculation. We don't know what he's going to do. All we know is that the measure is unpopular among the Russian people, and that one of the challenges of the government is that they don't have anything to show for it. What they were calling the summer offensive had flopped. There was no offensive. An offensive is where you make progress. Well, they haven't made any progress. So that didn't happen. And Ukrainians are now sharing their numbers about the territory they have regained. And I'm sure that is getting the Kremlin pretty jaded. So we'll see how that goes. It's possible Putin is waiting until after the election to do whatever. But nobody is forgetting that that is a possibility. And I hope the Russian people are not forgetting that either. Because, folks, that's your loved ones. That's largely your men. who are on the line, whose lives are on the line. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to systematically dismantle Russia's economy. They've hit the Roscosmos facility using Flamingo missiles and a Sevastopol air base. So what is that all about? This is once again some ways away. This is in Samara region, and the airfield we're talking about, that is where they kept the carriers of missiles that Russia has been using against Ukrainian civilians. It's about 700 kilometers from Ukraine, like I said, so it's quite some ways away. The Progress Rocket Space Center is one of the key enterprises belonging to Roscosmos. And the Progress Center was involved in production of electronics, which were also used by the military. So again, we talked about this yesterday. Russia keeps trying to go the dual purpose way, and it keeps not working for them. Because it keeps basically turning their seemingly civilian and scientific enterprises into potential military targets. Because they are supplying components, they're supplying designs, they're providing some of their manufacturing and storage space to the Russian military. And we have already established that the best missile, the best drone, is the one that never leaves ground. Or better yet, is the one that is never assembled. So that is what Ukraine is going for when it's targeting these types of facilities. This is still a developing story, so we don't know the extent of the damage. We don't know whether these facilities will become incapacitated. We'll see, but I'm sure it was pretty damn unnerving. Meanwhile, Russia continues murdering Ukrainian civilians, because that's what they do. There's been more attacks on my hometown of Zaporizhia, more attacks on Kyiv using North Korean missiles and Zircon cruise missiles. The attack killed 7 workers at the Zaporizhia steel plant and injured a total of 24 people in Zaporizhia. So I'll ask my parents about this tomorrow when I talk to them. Hopefully they were not among the killed. And now that Russia had officially rejected Ukraine's proposition for a Black Sea ceasefire, I am certain the attacks on Russia's ports will continue. And I'm sure that's going to include not just the Black Sea ports, but also the Baltic Sea ports. And along the Black Sea, it's going to include whatever they can get to. Because again, they extended an olive branch and Russia had rejected it. In addition, talk about letting Russia have the taste of its own medicine. There's been a massive cyber attack for which Ukraine had taken responsibility on, once again, the Wildberries, the big company that Ukraine has been targeting for its collaboration with the Russian military. So this was conducted by the members of the cybercore community on August 10th and 15th, and they've broken through the Wildberries' high level of digital protection, disrupted their main remote customer service channel, destabilized its payment infrastructure, and basically put additional pressure on its contact centers. Now, in the true Russian tradition, Wildberries basically said, oh, it was some technical problems. But what I'm wondering is whether this was like a dress rehearsal, whether they conducted this and made it large scale to see if they could. Because if they can break through something as highly protected as the Wildberries security systems, who knows what else they might be going for next. More to come.